Get on the show.
Call now.
888-640-9385. It's Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
As candles lined the Joseph Koenig school steps, silence fell over the small German town of Haltern. An entire high school Spanish class feared dead. 2 teachers and 16 students coming back from a week-long exchange in Barcelona. Leonie Kustermeyer's cousin was one of them.
She looked forward to meet the others again, and but on the other side, she was also, I think, really happy to go home.
She showed me the last selfie the 16-year-old texted her just a few days ago. News of the crash is overwhelming just about everybody here, including the mayor,
Einen Schockzustand überall zu spüren.
who called it the worst thing anyone could
Was man
imagine.
sich vorstellen.
Tonight, hundreds of candles burned in memory,
It hurts so much.
while these teenagers hug each other for support.
How is the school feeling right now?
Empty.
And try to come to grips with such a huge loss.
Nobody could believe it, really. It's true, but you don't want to understand it.
Parents were expecting them to land here at Dusseldorf Airport. Instead, the parents were ushered into a private room where they just kept getting worse and worse news. These are 15 and 16-year-olds, and they're just some of the first victims that we're learning about of those 150 on board.
Over mountains, over trees, over oceans, over seas, across the desert, I'll be there. In a whisper on the wind, on the smile of a new friend, just think of me, and I'll be there. Don't be afraid, oh my love, I'll be watching you from above, but I'd give all the world tonight to be with you. 'Cause I'm on your side, and I still care. I may have died, but I've gone nowhere. Just think of me, and I'll be there.
All right, sad story emanating from the French Alps. Some 202 number tells me, be careful. I guess my last Obama comment. And then, of course, they won't reveal themselves, who they are. And then, now they're like, I know who you are. That's all that matters. So how about that, Langell?
I don't know, a little creepy.
Yeah, a little creepy. They know you, too. They know
No,
Z-Mac.
they don't know me.
They're coming for us.
I didn't say nothing.
Yeah. You write the show.
You
Like Dookie Lang. Remember Dookie Lang used to write the show.
You leave the building far before me.
We leave at the same time, actually.
No,
so.
I'm not going to be walking anywhere near you when you walk out of this building.
So that is that's a story there. The very, very sad story. The German Wings airplane that crashed in the French Alps. So that story is basically there was how many German students were on that plane who perished yesterday? 16? 16.
2 teachers.
That's sad. Yeah. There was a lot of people from Spain, I think, on that plane. I believe it was predominantly the people on that plane were from Spain. Is that right?
I think they're still figuring it all out. They just knew the school.
Yeah.
Because obviously the school came forward and said, they were exchange program.
Right.
Learning Spanish over there. But I think there was a French national. There was even an Israeli on there. There's a lot. I mean, it's probably going to come out today. And it's just
that plane
just so
descended
sad,
32,000 feet in 8 minutes.
And no communication in the entire time.
No, there was one. I think I heard one back and forth. Early in the 8-minute descent, I thought I heard one. And then after that, the thing just continued to plummet, eventually crash into the mountains. And like we talked about earlier this morning, there's like no debris. There's like nothing left.
They said like it's just scattered all over, body parts.
Little
everything.
pieces over a 4 or 5 acre spot over there in the French Alps. Very, very sad story. Anyway, to lighten things up just a little bit, we got the big softball game coming up on Saturday, the Pink Ball event, the 6th annual Pink Ball event. Striking Out Breast Cancer, taking place at South County Regional Park out in West Boca. And we're excited about this. We were given the opportunity to hop aboard by our good friend Michelle Stallone. You folks know the Stallone's restaurant in West Boca. Bobby and Michelle Stallone, they do a terrific job. And they gave us the opportunity, Michelle specifically, to hop on and help a couple of weeks ago. We kind of dove in here head first, and I know Paul Casanova has been doing it for years, obviously. We got a couple of celebrities coming out on Saturday, but more important than that is we got a ton of people coming out on Saturday that are not celebrities to play the game and just help raise money for breast cancer. So with the last couple of days before the big event, we'll get the latest details from the lady in charge, our good friend Michelle Stallone. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Well, thank you. You got to be pretty pumped up here last couple of days before the big event.
Oh, my gosh. It's a little overwhelming of how exciting it is. We have 42 teams signed up this year, and that's just beyond of what the
in the past,
were.
the most amount of teams you've had in the past was like 9 or 10. Right now, you've got over 40.
Well, yeah, we started the very first year. We had 8 teams, and it grew little by little every year. Last year, I had 30, so we have 42 this year. We can't, and it's just amazing. It's just we actually had to start the games at 9:30. We typically start at 11. We are going to start at 9:30 to get more games in.
That's awesome.
So it really is, and I can't thank you enough. You know, I keep telling you this, but I think you're reaching so many people I can never reach because it's so grassroots for me, and we just do it locally through West Boca, which I have amazing support from. But by you bringing it to another level is bringing in more sponsorships and bringing more people, and even hopefully people will just stop by and see what it's about, maybe get involved next year if they couldn't this year. So we've already doubled our amount of sponsorships than we did from last year, and I owe that to you and your show.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. It's our pleasure. We're thrilled to help out with this. We're excited about it. I know I got about 40 guys, maybe more, showing up on Saturday. I know a couple of the celebs we talked about, former Dolphin and Jet quarterback Jay Fiedler's going to play some third base, and we've got former Yankee pitcher Tanyan Sturtz stopping by. Bucky Dent can't make it now, but we're going to, I think Preston Wilson, the former Marlin, Met, Rocky Cardinal's going to be there. So we got some names, but more importantly, it's the everyday folks in Boca that are showing up gladly with $30 or $40 to give to the charity that are very excited about this event.
They really are, and you know it's wonderful because all week I have so many people texting me and emailing me, what can I do? Can I help? What do you need? And it gets contagious because people really enjoy the day being out there with their family. It really just is a fun, relaxing day for everybody. And I have a lot of new things for the kids this year. We have a photo booth for the kids. We have the lady coming out making the balloon animals for the kids, like a lot of the
is that my friend? Is that Judith Brooker?
Yes.
Ah,
yes. Lady, your friend contacted me. She's wonderful. She's coming out.
She does a great job on Tuesday nights out by us at the Hurricane Grill. She's become a really good friend of the family, Judith Brooker. She is a sweetheart, and she couldn't wait to get involved. She couldn't wait.
She talked very highly about you. She was wonderful, and she's coming out. We have a lot of exciting things. I have like 100 raffle items donated from local stores out in West Boca, all kinds of auction items. So we're going to really do well this year, and it's wonderful because, like I told you last time, we do mammograms and ultrasounds for women in the community, but we came across a patient a few months ago that needed surgery. We diagnosed her with breast cancer on our mammo van in Broward, and she couldn't find help through the county to have surgery because she had no insurance, and we actually paid for her surgery through Boca Regional Hospital through the Pink Ball Fund. That was the first time we ever did that.
Wow.
And typically we don't need to do that, but we couldn't let this lady walk around, not having surgery with the breast cancer. So we did her surgery. She's being treated at Boca Regional Hospital. And it's just amazing that every single person out there, and, not just the sponsors who, with their generosity, with their large donations are wonderful, but people just spending $5 and $10, and it adds up because we have so many people. And every single person out there, is attributed to helping these patients. They don't realize it because they're out there having fun, but they're really helping and saving lives.
How many people you think will be there at the event in all? About 400 come Saturday?
Well, we have 450 registered players.
Wow.
So I would say double throughout the day. It gets super busy. And we were just talking about how much food we need last night because I'm, being Italian, I'm worried about running out of food. So I have to make sure we don't run out of food.
Right.
So, we'll be barbecuing all day. We'll have definitely trays of sausage and peppers and things like that from the restaurant, and those go pretty quick. So make sure you get one before they run out.
Now, what time is the kickball game for the kids? I've got my two kids, Ava and Gabriel, coming, and Eric is taking. All my friends are taking their kids. Chris is taking Katie and Jessica, blah, blah, blah. So what time is the kickball game for the kids?
Yes, so we have different times all day long, but your children's game is at 12:30.
12:30. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So there'll be much like there's a ton of softball games, starting with Paul Castranovo's game at 9:30 and ending with mine at 5. There's a bunch of kickball games as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have 4 fields. Every hour and a half, they will be occupied with either a softball game going on or a kickball game.
Cool.
And then from 2 to 3, 2 of the larger fields will host the home run derby, one for the moms and one for the dads.
Very cool. Okay, did you find somebody to sing the national anthem?
Not yet. The DJ that is coming out, he has a lot of connections with singers, so he's trying to hook me up with someone to sing the national anthem.
All right.
We have Boca High ROTC coming out to help with that, and we have a bunch of the Boca High and West Boca cheerleaders coming out to walk out with our dedication to Caroline Linden. She's a friend of ours who was just diagnosed with breast cancer last year. We're honoring the day to her. So we have a lot of involvement from the kids in the high schools this year. They're going to be out there helping. The FAU football coach is sending out the players.
Charlie Partridge, a very good guy. Yes.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They came out last year, and
Good
he
people.
emailed me, what can the boys do?
Yeah.
And they're wonderful. They're coming out at 7:30 to help us set up.
Now, he's a great guy. Pat Chung is the AD there. He's a good guy, too. So I've also been asked about T-shirts. The guys on the softball team want to know if they should bring their own T-shirts.
No. We have wonderful T-shirts made for them. We just actually picking them up this morning. We're going to be sorting through all of them today. But we have shirts for them. We have wonderful giveaway prizes that were donated from Boca Regional Hospital for everybody as a thank you. And you'll just see all the sponsors. We have all these beautiful banners that we're going to hang, thanking them for their support. We have a huge tent set up with all the raffles and auction items, and so they don't need to bring anything. We're going to have everything for them.
Beautiful.
We have pink softballs for them to play the game with. So they don't need anything. Just come and get ready to have some fun.
So on the way out, Michelle, and again, congratulations on this wonderful effort, the 6th annual Pink Ball event. And thank you again for allowing us to get involved. It's really our pleasure more than it is yours. On the way out, then tell me, the folks that want to get last-minute details, I know you've got a Facebook page, you've got a Twitter page, you've got a .com page. Where should people go to find out last-minute details on this great event?
Okay, so the website is bocapinkball.com. And we actually just updated it yesterday. You can see the schedule on there for Saturday. You can see all the sponsors, the stores that donated to us. My email is on there, phone number. They can reach me through there. They can reach me on Facebook at Pinkball Striking Out Breast Cancer. All the information's on there, and the flyer is even listed on the website. So if there's anybody that couldn't make it and want to donate, they can do it through also the website. Or they can always even just contact the hospital, the Boca Regional Hospital Foundation. If they decide a couple months from now they want to make a donation and underwrite a mammogram for a patient, they can always even contact the foundation, because that's where we have the fund set up with.
Fantastic. Listen, it's great having you back on. We're very excited about Saturday's event, and good luck the rest of the weekend. It's going to be awesome on Saturday, Michelle, and I'll see your husband, Bobby, for a Tuscan salad in about an hour and a half.
Thank you again and again and again.
You're welcome. No problem. There she is, Michelle Stallone, and not kidding. You know that on the way to Busybody today, before I head into the gym, I'll slam down a Bobby Stallone Tuscan salad. I love that salad. And that's Michelle Stallone doing a terrific job. Once again, the big Pink Ball event coming up. BocaPinkBall.com is the website at South County Regional Park coming up on Saturday. We'll talk college basketball with Digger Phelps. We've got a baseball guest stopping by as well. But I love this blog yesterday from the Washington Post. Obama jumps the shark on Israel. We talked to Jen Rubin from the Washington Post right after this.
Now, more Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
Israeli leaders insisting Israel is not spying on Americans. Now, 3 top Israeli ministers denied a Wall Street Journal report that their intelligence services spied on the closed-door Iran nuclear talks. The spying controversy comes as U.S.-Israeli tensions continue to rise. And State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki joins us. Nice to see you, Jen.
Great to be here, Greta.
All right, Jen, I'm not going to ask if we're spying on them, but are they spying on our nuclear talks?
Well, Greta, I'm not going to speak to any country's policies. I know the Israeli government has spoken to this. I think the bottom line here, though, is that it's ridiculous to suggest that members of Congress would need to rely on a foreign government. We've done more briefings on this issue than any other issue that we've worked on over the last couple of years, and we've kept them abreast and will continue to.
Why can't the rest of us know? I mean, we've got Secretary Kerry going around to countries that aren't particularly friendly to us. We've got Congress knowing. Everybody seems to know about what this particular deal is, but the American people are sort of, kept in the dark at this point. I mean, what's the big secret at this point?
Well, we absolutely want the American people to know what our objective is, which is to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. We want to cut off their 4 pathways to getting there. And there will absolutely be a public and I'm sure a debate about this and the components of it once there is a deal. Hopefully there will be a deal. But the fact is, negotiations often need to be kept in a quiet, done in a quiet fashion in order for them to proceed and be successful, and that certainly is our objective here.
Who draws the crowd and plays so loud, baby? It's the guitar man. Who's gonna steal the show? You know, baby, it's the guitar man. He can make you love, he can make you cry. He will bring you down and he'll get you high. Something keeps him going miles and miles a day to find another place to play.
Jen Psaki there reminded me of Henry Hill. Remember when Joe Pesci, Tommy was like, get it out, you stuttering, muttering prick in the movie Goodfellas. Remember that?
Didn't see Goodfellas.
Yeah, of course you didn't. You're about as American as Iran is. But anyway, she had a tough time getting her message across to Greta Van Susteren because she's lying. And that brings us to our next conversation. We're big fans here on this program of Jennifer Rubin's work in the Washington Post. Her new blog is out, column, Obama Jumps the Shark on Israel. And after speaking to guys like Robert Gibbs yesterday, Obama's former White House press secretary, and even college basketball analyst Seth Davis, Lanny's son, both very liberal, it's going to be nice to hear somebody from the other spectrum. Jen, it's Sid down in Miami. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. Let's start with this right off the bat, okay? And correct me if I'm wrong with any of this stuff, because this is certainly what you're good at. I'm really a sports guy, just kind of delving into some of this stuff. But was the Ayatollah not screaming just a couple of days ago in front of people in Iran, death to America, death to America, death to America? If, in fact, that's the case, why are we interested at all in negotiating with these folks and making any concessions at all?
Oh, Steve, you and all those conservatives are just simple-minded. You see, this is for domestic consumption, the White House told us. This is, of course, a farce because when it comes to Bibi Netanyahu, even if he corrects, clarifies his campaign comments, that's not good enough because that you can't erase. But the Ayatollah, well, it's just for domestic consumption. This is part of this delusion that they have over at the White House, that they can do business with these people, that they can scramble the Middle East, essentially kick Israel to the curb and our other Arab allies, Jordan, Egypt, and make a deal with these people. And it's just bizarre, frankly. It's delusional. And that is why you see these serial concessions concessions because the Iranians don't want to give up anything. This is why you see this really war of words directed at Netanyahu. This is why you see the president excusing Iran's behavior. And it's like we're in Never Never Land. We've gone through the looking glass.
There really is no way that we could do a good deal here, right? I mean, any deal we make with Iran, any concessions we make, says it just screams to me bad deal. Agreed? There's really no way we can make a good deal here, right?
There is no way this president can make a good deal. That is correct. Now, had he actually maintained a credible use of force, had he actually gone another step and passed really excruciatingly tough sanctions, maybe we could have gotten closer to a good deal. There's question even if that would have worked. But with this president, there is no way on God's green earth we are going to get a good deal. The only question is whether we're going to get a rotten deal that Congress meekly goes along with, or whether we're going to get a rotten deal that the American people and their congressional representatives look at and say, oh, no, we are not going down this road.
Can you give me, Jennifer Rubin, again, Washington Post, an example, if you will, some hypothetical of a rotten deal?
A rotten deal would leave, say, 6,000 centrifuges, which are the things that create the enriched material with Iran. It would leave most, if not all, of the fissile material in Iran. It would have a sunset clause that says, in 10 years or so, Iran can essentially do whatever they want. They'll have inspectors, but, inspectors can get kicked out. There would be substantial upfront relief from sanctions for the Iranians. There would be no discussion whatsoever of the Iranians' ICBM program that would allow them to put a nuclear weapon on a missile and send it around the globe to hit New York, to hit Austin, to hit Miami, for example. These are the things that would be in a bad deal. And by the way, these are all the things we are told are going to be in the deal. So how they're going to market this thing as a good deal, as a way, as Jen Psaki said, of cutting off all the pathways to Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon is beyond me. They are going to either have to
They can't do it.
Secret.
They can't do it. So there are two things they're doing here, Jennifer. And again, this is your business. There are two things they're doing here. A, they're keeping it very secretive, like you said, which is part of the reason why they were angry with Bibi, because he came here and told us stuff.
Yes.
And secondly, they are deflecting. All they do is deflect. They are spending more time with their temper tantrums in and around Netanyahu and hoping to keep this stuff off the back pages. So secret and deflect seems to me to be the strategy.
Absolutely. And there's a third component that you're going to see if we do get a deal, and that is they're going to drown us in minutia. They're going to say, well, you don't quite understand. There's all this technical stuff, and they're going to talk about output, and they're going to talk about centrifugal speed, and they're going to talk about all of this gibberish. But the bottom line remains the same. They are leaving in the hands of the Iranians a nuclear capacity to create an industrial-sized nuclear weapons industry. And in a number of years, Iran is simply going to, at a time of its choosing, decide to break out. This was specifically what they promised we would not do. They said we will not accept containment. And that's exactly where we're going.
Well, let me ask you this. Rudy Giuliani said weeks ago, which angers liberals and I think to a certain part excites Republicans. They wouldn't admit it in public, but I think it does. He said Obama doesn't really love America. Do you believe that's true?
I believe he doesn't like Israel.
Okay, but that's fine. So if in fact he does a bad deal with Iran, it certainly puts, along with the states you just mentioned here in the United States, it certainly puts Israel at a very high risk. The question would be, what would be the motivation for Barack Obama to engage and allow a bad deal?
This would be his legacy. He is going to have a piece of paper to wave in the air, say peace in our time. And, if things go south, if they cheat, if there's a problem later on, he's going to be long gone. He's going to be on the golf course in Hawaii. So
he can basically say, Jennifer Rubin, hey, man, I tried. I mean, I know that Iran was, listen, we know this. While all this is going on, you wrote this, you're exactly right. They are extending and deepening their influence, their murderous influence in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Yemen. They threaten the Ayatollah, the United States, and Israel every single day. But with all that said, you're telling me he can walk away, sleep at night saying, hey, I tried. Unlike everybody else, I tried to make it more peaceful. I'm sorry it didn't work. And act as if we thought he really thought that would be the case.
Correct. And I think he is in such a bubble, I think he is in such a state of delusion that he has painted anyone who would take issue with that picture as a warmonger, as motivated by base instincts. Bibi is now a racist. He is a warmonger. The critics in Congress are simply out to wreck his grand deal. The French are neurotic, I guess, because they object to the deal. Everyone is wrong. Only he has got the secret to the Middle East. And in fact, when you just take a step back, this is nuts. How in the world is the United States going to reconcile with a regime that does all the things you spoke about, plus is the world's leading state sponsor of terror, plus is the most repressive, brutal regime whose human rights record is really at the bottom of the bottom, who supports bloodthirsty dictators like Bashar al-Assad, who is responsible for 200,000 dead Syrians. How in the world would we tolerate this? It's just beyond conception.
You know, it's amazing to me, Jennifer, in that, again, for the most part of my career, I've been a sports guy, but I worked on the Imus in the Morning show for many, many years, and I guess the I-Man had a bigger influence on me than I thought, because as I'm getting older now, I find I'm less interested in sports and more in the stuff that you're doing. But we can argue all day about Tom Brady. Is he the best quarterback ever? Really, the difference between Tom Brady and a John Elway, let's say, or a Dan Marino or a Joe Montana is very small. Yet in a situation like this, why is it so obvious to you and I that this president is meek and in way over his head, yet the liberals think that we're idiots? How is that? How is it possible that we've got the same situation and two people can look at this so wildly differently?
I think there are two explanations, and you're right. This is not even an hard call in our book. It is with neon lights. It's glaring. It's a bright line. You know, our sense is you have to be blind and an idiot not to see this. I think there are two things. One is the president is almost entirely isolated from critical views. He lives in his own world. He has fired any competent person within the city block around him. He talks to sycophants. He talks to political hacks like Valerie Jarrett. He has a whole chorus of media people saying, oh, you're doing a great job. Oh, Bibi is bad. Oh, the Republicans are just out to get you. And he has convinced himself of his own greatness. I think the other thing is that there's just sheer panic going on. Look at the real Middle East, not the Middle East in his mind, but the real Middle East is a complete mess. Iran is on the march. Nearly every power that was somewhat stable when he got into office is no longer stable. We've had a Middle East
By the way, not only stable, but this is the same man, and he'll never admit to this, that said not that long ago that Yemen is the epitome of success, and they're the biggest disaster of all.
Right. So he has to come up with something so that the first line of his presidential obituary is not, and he created Middle East chaos. So he thinks this is the way that he's going to paper over all that. People are going to reward him. He'll finally really earn that Nobel Peace Prize. And if it all falls apart in a little while, well, that's someone else's problem. So part of it is cynical, and part of it is I think he's deluded. I really do. I think he's completely cut off from reality.
I think you're right, though. I think he's reading his own press clippings and very impressed with himself. Jennifer Rubin, Washington Post here, a few more minutes. Rich Lowry, who I thought was great on Meet the Press on Sunday, is set to join me here tomorrow. He wrote a terrific op-ed piece in the New York Post yesterday talking about something you just mentioned moments ago, that who would have thought this? Because I don't particularly like these people, but to be honest, they have become the voice of reason in Europe. Now, they're not going to stand in front of the train, like you said, but at least they're out there yelling and screaming. Who would have thought it would be the French?
Yeah, it really is. And there's something very interesting that is also going on, and that is that the Saudis, the Egyptians, have never been closer to Israel than ever before because they have a shared interest in making sure Iran does not get a bomb. And they're already gravely upset with the United States because we've done nothing to halt this spread, this cancer that is spreading throughout the Middle East as you reeled off the list of capitals where they now have influence. So you have the Saudi foreign minister yesterday going public and saying we should not be giving undeserved concessions to the Iranians. You see the Egyptians now in a deal with Israel, a power deal for Israel with Israel. So you have this very weird alignment. Perhaps that's the silver lining in all of this, that the Arab states and Israel are increasingly friendly and cooperative. But it's small solace for the fact that he is going to leave a nuclear-capable Islamic jihadist state on the march. And that is quite a legacy. That is quite a record to bequeath to whoever is the next president.
Big story this morning, too, is that the contention here, not from U.S. lawmakers, but from folks, some folks in D.C., is that Israel has been spying on us as we've been going through these lousy negotiations with Iran, that Israel has been spying on us. Let me just say this. I hope they are, because I don't trust Obama and this government. But if, in fact, they are, you very upset with that?
First of all, I agree. I would expect they would. And for us to complain about spying on
how hypocritical
leaders,
is that? Right.
Yeah, go talk to Angela Merkel about that. Next, both the Israelis and the lawmakers deny it. Boehner says, no one told me any good information. So I think this is another kind of scurrilous attack on the Israelis. But the problem would not occur if, in fact, Jen Psaki was telling the truth, namely that the congressional leaders were being briefed. They're told nothing. They don't know what concessions have been made. The administration has been entirely unhelpful. You talk to either senators or congressmen, to a person, they say, we learn more in the press than we do from these briefings. They are useless. And the fact that they've gotten away with keeping the Congress at arm's length at revealing virtually nothing about what they're doing that isn't either leaked to the press or told to us by a foreign leader is a measure of how rotten this deal is going to be. How could they possibly brief members of Congress? Okay, well, we caved on that point. Oh, yeah, well, we gave up that a long time ago.
Yeah, doesn't make much sense. So on the way out, I've got a bunch of liberal Jewish friends and family members, too. And it sickens me that anybody would still defend this guy, but they do. And they do in big numbers, by the way, as you know, Jen.
Yeah.
So I got a couple guys on the show the last couple of days. They go, Sid, you're better than that. Don't do this. Don't jump in head first. Obama doesn't hate Israel. Yes, he doesn't like Netanyahu. There are some philosophical differences there. But don't join the mob here. He doesn't hate Israel. He's not a hateful guy. And the more they say that to me, I start to realize that, oh, my God, I am one of those people who are starting to believe that he really does hate Israel and doesn't care. What do you think is the truth? How does Obama feel about Netanyahu? How does Obama feel about Israel?
I think he has virtually no sympathy for their plight. I think he looks at it like all leftists look at it since at least 1967. They are an occupying power. They are an oppressive power. They do not bend to his will. They are obstructionists. They are hysterical. They are irrational. That is how he looks upon them. And of all of the world leaders, really, Bibi is the only one to stand up to this guy and full throttle say, no, we are not going to commit national suicide. No, we are not going to go along with your crap deal. And that is infuriating to him. He likes a weak Israel, a submissive Israel, the good Jew who goes quietly to their death.
But what about
that is not happening.
And what about I agree. And what about the arrogant American who says, well, hey, wait a second. Netanyahu had no right to come here. That's Obama's home stadium right there. And he basically humiliated the president in his own home stadium. And he's the guy that's being completely disrespectful and out of line. Bibi, not Barack.
Well, the Speaker of the House of Representatives can invite whomever he wants. And it only became a big deal because Obama objected so. And to say that Bibi started this with a speech is to ignore months and months, years of insults, of slights, of off-mic comments, of slurs, of really petulant behavior by this administration that began almost as soon as they got into office. So if you want to talk about who shot John or who shot Bibi, we can go back. Let's do some archaeology, but let's start at the beginning. And I think from the beginning, from that horrible Cairo speech he gave, in which he essentially equated the Israelis with slave owners, that the Palestinians were akin to African-American slaves, we knew from the get-go what this guy's perspective was.
So you would agree then, even if it's Hillary, who is a Democrat, her best chance, even though she's got the primary wrapped up, but if she was smart, she would distance herself from Obama. She would handle Bibi and Israel completely different, even in a situation where she really can't lose, that if she was smart and sitting on the other side, they would handle this Israeli situation completely different, yes?
I fear that the Democratic Party at large, as it moves farther and farther left, is less and less sympathetic towards Israel. So I'm not sure if she were actually had competition in the Democratic primary, she would do that. Once in office, perhaps she would, but she does not strike me as someone who operates off of principle. I think she is the ultimate finger in the wind politician, and whatever it takes to get elected, whatever it takes to get reelected, she will do. And unfortunately, we no longer have that fulsome bipartisan support of Israel. You look at the polls, Democrats are less and less supportive of Israel with each passing generation.
Sickening. Obama jumps the shark on Israel is the name of the column. It's in the Washington Post. I compel and urge every one of you to read it. Great column. You're a wonderful guest, Jennifer. I would hope that you'll be part of our regular stable of smart folks that stop by on a regular basis. You were great. Thank you.
I would love it.
Post 888-640-9385. Lots more to do. Back on a busy Wednesday right after this.